Have you ever watched a scary and creepy scene and wondered how the actors managed to film it? Well, we're used to seeing actors actually acting, but sometimes actors can show their true authentic reactions on screen, making each scene even better. So if you want to see some of those scenes, continue watching because here are the 10 scenes where actors were actually terrified. Number 10. Silence of the Lambs.
Good evening, gentlemen. Okay, Doc, grab some flora.
Same drill as before.
Portraying the legendary role of Hannibal Lecter in The Silence of the Lambs, Anthony Hopkins did an absolutely incredible performance. So extraordinary that his co-star Jodie Foster was even afraid to be in the same room as him. Throughout the filming of the movie, we see Lecter in a jail cell for the majority of the movie. Jodie had the security of the cell, but even when they weren't filming, she tried her best to avoid him as much as possible. She was absolutely terrified of him and she kept her distance. But the funny thing is, Hopkins was also scared of Foster. On the last day of filming, he told her that he was scared of her and she admitted on how terrified she was of him and his portrayal of Hannibal Lecter. Number 9. Stranger Things.
You shouldn't have looked for me. Because now I see you.
This show is a huge hit and is known for its creepy and scary scenes, including a bunch of sci-fi elements. Although it's all fantasy, some actors have a tough time filming certain scenes. In the scene where Eleven ventures into the void to try and find Heather, the lifeguard, we see Heather jumping from a bathtub full of ice and even drowning in what looks like an endless pool later in the episode. The actress who plays Heather, Francesca Reel, admitted that when it came to filming those two scenes, it was quite horrifying. The drowning scene was filmed in a pool with a black bottom, which she said was a terrifying experience for her. We get it. Going into a pool and not knowing where the bottom is can be scary. Number 8. It.
What a nice boat. Do you want it back?
Bill Skarsgård's portrayal of the evil clown Pennywise in the horror movie It is definitely a new level of terrifying. As the movie goes, Pennywise attacks children in a small town, and given that description, Skarsgård took his job seriously and managed to scare everyone, including himself. When he first saw himself fully dressed as Pennywise, the actor was truly scared. But when the kids saw him the first time, they were completely terrified that one of them even started crying. However, the director managed to use that situation and yell action and used the kids' real fear in the scene. Just watching him in the movie makes us feel scared, but can you imagine seeing it right in front of you? Number 7. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Don't just stand there, do something!
Help. Police. Murder.
Gene Wilder's version of the Willy Wonka is definitely hilarious, but we have to admit that it's one of the freakiest movies ever made. As much as we adore the movie and the actor, Wilder played Wonka like a psycho about to snap. As it turns out, the kids that were part of the movie were quite scared of him. The director of the movie kept a lot of scenes a secret from the kids to actually get their real reaction. So in the scene, when they go on a scary boat ride, they had no idea what was happening. Some of them thought that Gene had gone crazy, so if you go back and take a look at that scene one more time, remember that their expressions on the boat are real and genuine. Number 6. The Dark Knight.
Why so serious?
Heath Ledger in the role of Joker in The Dark Knight has to be one of his best performances before he unfortunately left us. He managed to give the Joker the spark it needed, but with that came a lot of terrified looks from his co-stars. When Michael Caine was cast to play as Bruce Wayne's butler, you'd think he'd be used to seeing anything in the movies, right? Well, when he first saw Ledger rehearsing for his role, he froze and was left frightened. The actor admitted that he was so terrifying that he forgot every line. He always stayed in character and managed to give an extraordinary performance, and even though he improvised in some scenes, each scene was creepy, scary, and incredibly funny at times. Number 5. The Flash. While The Flash was renewed for an 8th season, we can't help but remember the first ever episode of the show. Through this series, you can see a lot of memorable scenes, both hilarious and frightening, but one scene in particular was quite terrifying for the actors. In the pilot of the show, we see Barry in a car crash. After the car flips, out of nowhere, another car hits it and explodes. Although no actors were harmed in the process and it was all done with a stuntman, they couldn't help but wonder whether the stuntman would be able to do it correctly. Luckily, they hired a professional and the scene was done perfectly. But being terrified for someone's life is definitely scary. Number 4. Riverdale. Being one of the biggest shows today, Riverdale never lets us down. From mind-blowing plot twists to an incredible storyline, we can get everything from it. So, can you guess which scene left one of the actors completely scared when it came to filming it? In the first ever episode, we get to see Cheryl and her brother Jason going for a boat ride. Well, what you don't know is that Madeline, the actress who plays Cheryl, has a great fear of open water. She was frightened to film that scene and was literally shaking the whole time. If that wasn't enough, later in the show, she had to film a scene where she falls in the water and starts drowning. Lucky for us, Madeline didn't give up and gave us some of the most memorable scenes in the show. Number 3. Die Hard.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
If you've ever watched Die Hard, then you remember the scene where Alan Rickman's character falls from the building. The acting in that scene is truly exceptional, and we couldn't help but notice how real it looks. What if we told you that his expression is real? Although Rickman has rehearsed this scene multiple times, he was used to being dropped on the count of 3. But the director had a little surprise for him. When he was filming the scene, Rickman was dropped on the count of 1, so his reaction to the drop is real, and he was quite terrified, thinking something went wrong. In the end, this made one of the best and most memorable scene in the Die Hard movie. Number 2. Harry Potter. There's not a single person on Earth who hasn't heard of the Harry Potter franchise. We all remember Voldemort, right? He managed to give us all nightmares, but we weren't the only ones. Daniel Radcliffe, who played the Chosen One, or Harry Potter, admitted that he was quite scared of the actor who played Voldemort, Ralph Fiennes. He said that the first scenes he ever did with Ralph when he was only 15 were one of his most terrifying moments on set. Ralph managed to scare Daniel for a few years, and Radcliffe said that he was scarier than Alan Rickman, who played Snape in the movies. But we get it, being 15 and seeing the face of Lord Voldemort in front of you can be scary, even for us who watched it on the screen. Number 1. EUPHORIA. The show became a huge hit since the moment it aired. With Zendaya and Jacob Elordi acting in it, it won over many hearts. So you wonder what could be terrifying in this show. Well, on their last day of filming of Season 1, they were at the location of an abandoned mental hospital that is shut down after 40 patients lost their lives. Even mentioning this makes us uncomfortable, but can you even imagine filming there? Sydney Sweeney speaks about the spookiness of that place till this day, and she's still not over it. She said that it was probably the creepiest place she has ever been. They stayed there filming all day and all night, and besides Sweeney, a bunch of other actors were feeling quite bothered with the location they chose to film. On a related note, we wanted to know which one of these scenes do you find to be the most terrifying? Let us know in the comment section below. If you'd like to see more amazing videos such as this one, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss any of them. And as always, thanks for watching, guys.